Coming up on NBA Today, a performance for the ages. How the point guard had himself a perfect, yes, I said perfect night and etched his way into the history books. Plus, Luka and the Mavs advanced for the first time since 2011. How much of a chance does our panel give them against the top-seeded and healthy Suns? And Miami Heat guard Victor Oladipo joins the show. All that and more on NBA Today that starts now. Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Richard Jefferson. Malika Andrews is in Minnesota covering some big game there, but we'll get to that later in a bit. I've got Ramona Shelburne, Monica McNutt, and Zach Lowe here with me. We had 3 closeout game 6s last night, but we're starting with the team that lost. Ooh,
sure, makes sense.
Makes sense. Look, the Pelicans gave the Suns all they can handle, but now they focused their shift to the man that wasn't on the court. The Pelicans had exit interviews yesterday, and Zion Williamson spoke for the first time pretty much all year since Pelicans Media Day. Before the start of the season, that was 214 days ago.
It's been a rough year. Had its rough patches, but I'm in a great space now.
How are you feeling physically? Is the foot completely healed?
I feel great. From a physical standpoint, I definitely could have played, but me and my team in the front office and the team, we decided that longevity was better than trying to rush back.
You're eligible for extension this summer. If they offered you an extension, would you be willing to accept it?
Of course.
Why is this?
I wouldn't be able to sign it fast enough.
Ooh, okay.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of
Hey.
there's a lot of information, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why we are starting the show with that. Ramona, I'm going to start with you. What did you hear there, and what are your thoughts about Zion saying that he could have played against the Suns, but the team decided to hold him out?
I mean, first of all, him saying, of course I would sign that extension. I couldn't sign it fast enough. Did everyone in New Orleans just take a deep breath and go, oh, so all that stuff that we speculate that he said, I can't sign it fast enough. He's eligible for a 5-year, $181 million extension this summer. Okay, he hasn't played in that many games, and so you have to wonder, would the Pelicans try to put some injury protections on that, similar to how the Sixers did with Joel Embiid when he was eligible for that same type of extension? It also, that salary could go up if he were to make an All-NBA team next year, so it could go up by $36 million, just like with Jason Tatum, Trae Young, etc. But the fact that he was so confident in saying, I would sign it as soon as it's offered, that's got to be a huge relief for everyone in New Orleans to hear that.
I hear you, Momo. I think I'm still in the camp of I'll believe it when I know that the ink is dry and it's done, because we just don't know what else might be out there in terms of curious organizations. But I actually was more, I don't know if I want to use impressed, but I thought it was a more thoughtful decision to hold him out of this series. We had plenty of talk whether or not the dunk was actually an indicator of his health. But the Pelicans played fantastic in this series without Zion, and I think that decision was really smart. It speaks to the confidence that they have in the guys that were on the floor as well, because there's no way that if he played in this series, that would not have become the #1 headline in terms of what we were seeing from the New Orleans Pelicans, when instead we had a chance to see a team that I think is going to be formidable in the West when you consider the way Brandon Ingram played, what Herb Jones brings you defensively, and of course the addition of CJ McCollum.
Yeah, to me, the story of the Pelicans playoff series was Brandon Ingram proving he belongs. He's a problem. He can be the #1 option or co-#1 option on a legit tough playoff team. He was decisive and confident. That was great to see. Not on Herb is here to stay. Jose Alvarado is going to be a pain in the butt for a long time. Trey Murphy is ready. Zion's got a team he can look at and say, hey, I can be the centerpiece of what should be a good team. As for the extension, look, Zion's played 1 season in 3 years. Of course he's going to take the money if they offer it to him. That's a no-brainer. If he doesn't want to be in New Orleans in 2 or 3 years, you can deal with that then. You take the money now, you enjoy this team now, and Ramona's right. I think, to me, the more interesting question is, what kind of extension do they offer him? Do they try to do it like the Sixers did with Embiid and have some protections in there? But sure, that's a sigh of relief. But more importantly than that, the Pelicans proved a lot in the playoffs. They proved a lot to the Suns. It was an encouraging last couple of months for New Orleans basketball.
Yeah, no, I think they did exactly what they were supposed to do. One, you want to hold them out. You don't keep a Ferrari in the garage for an entire year and then go put it in a race. And that's what it was. Going against the Phoenix Suns, going against that, you don't want to put a player in that position because obviously he's not tuned up. We've seen injuries to Booker. We've seen injuries to Chris Middleton. And these are guys that were tuned up, ready to go during the season, and then just things happen. So I think that is smart for the long-term health. And then obviously you want to sign that. You want to sign that. You want to get that as quickly as possible. So anybody that's worried about his commitment to the team, now look, he's got to get on that court. And look, if he's not, after a year or two, if he's not doing what he's supposed to, I don't think New Orleans fans would even want him there. They would just want to move on, and they have plenty of talent there currently on their roster that should give them hope for the future. And speaking of future, let's take a look at what the Pelicans lineup could look like next season with Zion. You got Ingram, McCollum, Herbert Jones, Valanciunas. Look, this is a roster right here that, to me, look, you could probably put yourself in a position to make a run. If they're healthy, they play this type of intensity. Imagine if they were in the 5 matchup or the 4-5 matchup with Utah. I think this team could beat Utah in its present form. So I just think that there's a lot of talent on this team. Like, Zach, I want to know from you first, how good do you think this team could be with, let's not say a fully healthy Zion, but let's say 65 games?
Offensively, they would be dynamite. There's no question about that. I mean, we're only a year removed from Zion almost making an all-NBA team and shooting like 1,000,000% at the rim, being totally unstoppable. Defensively, I think that's the question. That's a defensively challenged lineup other than Herb Jones. And the other thing is, you know, we do get carried away sometimes with the optimism coming off a run like this. So top 4, top 5 next season in the West. You know, the West is no picnic. Denver's coming back fully loaded. The Clippers didn't make the playoffs. They might enter the season as favorites in the Western Conference next year. The Lakers, TBD, but they're not going to accept another 30-something win season. Top 4 in the West is really, really hard, and I might pump the brakes, or top 5, top 6, whatever. I might pump the brakes a little bit on those expectations until we see Zion on the floor on a consistent basis. And even then, that might be optimistic. That's just life in the West, man.
So we're forgetting one huge asset that the Pelicans have. They have the Lakers pick this year, and it's a lottery pick with a 6% chance to be a number 1 pick. They won that before, right in that same spot when they won the lottery. So that can be a great asset for them if they want to make a pick, if they want another good young player, or as we've seen, the Pelicans have been very aggressive in the trade market. That could be a very good trade chip for them if they want to go out and get a veteran to add to that core group.
Look, Momo, really quickly. We have talked enough about the individual that didn't play. Let's talk about one of the most historic performances
the guy who doesn't miss
that like we have ever seen. There was a game last night, and Chris Paul made history. Let's get to that highlight.
I don't even do that in warm-up.
You don't even do that to warm-up. Chris Paul, he was so impressive, Momo, and we're going to jump straight to the fourth. Guy hasn't even missed a shot yet. But what Chris Paul does in these games, he is Mr. Fourth Quarter. He is one of the best clutch performers all season long. And here, working the pick and roll. Whoop, that's another miss. And look at the score. Every one of these shots were needed here, down by 1 on the road. Chris Paul gets the lane. He's doing what he does, that little high giant killer, that little floater, unguardable, and he did miss. And then here, I think they might have forgot who Devin Booker was, because as hot as Chris Paul is, you can't leave the guy that's probably going to be first-team All-NBA. Devin Booker had himself a solid game. And look, I'm just going to say this right here. Devin Booker is that dude. He had 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Coming back, still nursing back that hamstring, probably on a minute restriction. But here, this is it. Up by 3. Going against, yes.